if you're here, you hopefully know why you're here, and let's talk about Copilot, but to like really actually talk about Copilot and what the heck this thing is that we are hearing so much about. We're here to Copilot because of the Copilot, and when you Copilot the Copilot, you get the Copilot together, and that makes a great Copilot, and then Copilot's everything, and we've got a great Copilot. Okay, thank you so much for joining. We appreciate it. Have a great day. I'm just kidding. No, we've heard so much about Copilot, so what the heck is it, Matt? Please explain this for us.
Okay, so Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, they named everything Copilot. Right? It's Copilot for Microsoft 365. It's Copilot for sales. It's Copilot in Power Apps. It's Copilot here. It's Copilot for BI. It's Copilot for modern work. It's an AI assistant. All right. What really does that mean? It accepts natural language, and it's going to respond based on the data that it's grounded on, about the data that it's attached to. So what is it really? It's all about a RAG. Okay, it's all based on retrieval, augmented generation. In a nutshell, the LLM, the large language model, ChatGPT, in Microsoft's case, can only have a little bit of data in its memory. And if you're dealing with large sets of data, you need to be able to then search for the data, get the data that you need, small enough that the LLM can understand it, and then hand it over to the LLM for processing. And then the LLM is able to process that and generate information back. That's the first part. That's the R, the retrieval. Once that data comes back, the prompt that we give the LLM has to be massaged. It has to be massaged for the most part because honestly, most people don't know how to deal exactly with the prompts. The prompts actually have to be very exact in what you're asking for. Otherwise, the LLM will return a whole bunch of not necessarily nonsense, but it can get chatty. It can get really long, or give you wrong data, or ask about the wrong thing. So that's the augmentation piece, RA. And then G, of course, is the easy part. That's sending it over to the LLM for its response. When we talk about Copilot, even when we're talking about the canned ones from Microsoft, they're all using this kind of model: retrieval, augmentation, and then generation. So what is Copilot? Copilot is the A in the augmentation. And when we get into this, it really starts to make sense on why Microsoft named everything Copilot. Copilot for this, Copilot for that, Copilot for this, Copilot for that. Because what it essentially does is it's taking the information that you're asking it, it sends it off to the search, comes back from the index, and then it messes with it. And that messing with it, accepting something from the LLM, and then double checking data, all that stuff, that's what Copilot gives you. That's what it is.
Okay, so this is cool and exciting, right? But let's kind of play the cop for a second, and of course we'll talk about first a couple of different security issues. But number one, the most common objection, question, concern that is raised is about your data, and is my data safe? Everyone has access to this data. Does that mean literally everyone has access to this data? And the answer is no. Copilot ensures tenant isolation, right? It's tenant isolated. The LLM is a shared resource, but isolated to your tenant. Your data never leaves your tenant. Your data is never used to train future models of the LLM, right? And it does this through a number of different ways, whether it be multi-tenancy architecture, or to each organization obviously has your own isolated environment, whether that's through strict authentication and authorization controls, and only authorized users have with a specific tenant can access Copilot's features. Data segregation, so your data is segregated at the tenant level, and if you have things like preferences or history, right, that remains separate from the others. So that isolation is used to protect your data and your privacy. So we are solving that one security issue. The security issue we are not solving today, because this is on you guys, is around the security problem that will exist. Full stop. And that is when you turn on Copilot, what happens to the data that is being shared internally? And let's take a look.
Copilot for Microsoft 365.
I get excited here because there's so many. Copilot from Microsoft 365. Thank you. It's about your data integrity. Okay. And the idea of just because Copilot is turned on, think about all the sensitivity labels that may or may not be applied to your data. And this may be a time to have a little reflection with yourself. And you think about, okay, if I were to think internally today, how is the restriction settings for everything that we have within SharePoint and with OneDrive today? Is it at 100% where we want it to be? Probably not. No one's perfect. We're not perfect either, right? And this is where you have to get as close to confidence as possible, because again, once Copilot is turned on, any items that are shared as anyone in my company can read, those items are exposed to Copilot, and anyone in your company can read. Okay, so ourselves, right? We'll use as an example. We do not have Copilot for Microsoft 365 turned on to everyone in the organization just yet, because we probably have some work to do internally with our own resources that are being shared, right? Like, again, this has to have some extra care taken to it. And so when it comes to things like employee salary information or any kind of proposed organizational changes, right? Perhaps there's even IP that not everyone in the company is privy to, right? We're curious creatures of nature, right? People just go digging for things sometimes, and if that one specific file or that folder isn't necessarily locked down, then that might be available. So the idea of security by obfuscation no longer holds in the Copilot world. Well, again, we thank you guys. Hopefully this was a helpful use of time. Feel free to reach out to Matt or myself, and we hope to talk to you soon.